Thank you for tuning in to The Real Tea with T3. I'm your host, Teja Harris with Texas Trio Team, and I have a counterpart over here. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Deanna Kennesaw, newest member of the Texas Trio Team. Happy to be here.
Of course. And so we are going to dive in about something really special today. And so who are you and what keeps you busy these days?
Hi, I'm Kathryn Hinnant. I am the owner of the Scout Guide Houston and now the Scout Guide Brazos Valley.
Right. And so I was really surprised and grateful. You are also a member of the Washington County Chamber. And so you had just reached out and kind of expressed your interest in meeting and like how you love supporting local businesses. And that's honestly why we do what we're doing sitting right here and why we do what we do every day. And so it was really great that you reached out and it really meant a lot. So we are so excited to hear your story.
Thank you. Well, I was, very excited to be a part of this. I very much love making connections with people, and that's the reason why I do the Scout Guide in the first place, is just getting to meet this whole world of different businesses. I very much have always been somebody that doesn't like to stay with, I don't want to say the same thing because I'm with the Scout Guide, but I like different things coming in all the time, and so that's why I love the Scout Guide. That's why I love connecting with people, getting to hear their stories. So hopefully you'll enjoy hearing my story.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so speaking of, tell us your story, like what got you to where you are today.
Sure. So the long version is I'm a graduate from Texas A&M University. I was a Viz kid, visualization. We focused on game design, graphic design, and animation. And during your junior year in college, you are required to either do an internship or study abroad. And I was like, well, since I'm paying my way through college, Europe will be there still. So I chose to do an internship. It was paid, and I went and lived in Oklahoma City for a semester. And it was there. I worked for a fourth family generation owned jewelry company called BC Clark Jewelers. And they were awesome people. But it was there that I really learned working for someone else was not my strong suit. I felt that it stifled me creatively. And while I was there, I was doing graphic design and social media, managing things like that. So I just felt that, like I was saying in the beginning, sticking to one brand the whole time, it really did take it out of me. I didn't feel like I could be as open with my creativeness as I wanted to be. And so I had always kind of vowed to myself, one day I'll do my own thing. And I went back to finish my junior year at A&M, and my relationship at that time that I was in, he encouraged me to start my own business. And it was just freelance at the time, and it really did open my eyes to being my own boss. And then, COVID happened. It was 2020, the following year, my senior year, and I was supposed to go to New York for a job I had lined up, and that ended up not panning out. So I was like, well, I'll just keep doing what I do best, and that's freelance work. And COVID kind of took me, to the next level of doing that kind of work, because everybody that was getting laid off or furloughed or just sitting at home bored wanted to create their own business. And they were on Facebook saying, hey, does anybody do branding or website building or social media or photography? And so I was like, me, and my business really took off. And so I ended up branding myself, having my freelance business as a LLC corp, and not just something that was, walking around money. And I named it Monarch. The reason for that is because my paternal grandmother, she loved the monarch butterfly, and I wanted to kind of pay homage to her in naming something that was for her. And so I went on about doing my Monarch marketing business, and about a year and a half or so into doing that, I came across the Scout Guide Houston myself. I had never been privy to it or anything, and so I met with the owner, my predecessor, and we got to know each other pretty well. And it turned out she was also an Aggie graduate. And so we kind of bonded over that. And she was like, look, help me fill this guidebook with maybe your clients, and I'll give you your ad for free. And I was like, well, that's a deal if I've ever heard one. And so I did, and we worked on that guidebook together. It was Houston's volume 6. And once it came out, she was like, look, you're really great at doing this. I see a lot of potential with you. What you could do is marry your marketing business with this scout guide. Would you like to take over it? I'm trying to retire. I have, my kids are married. I have grandkids. I want to move on with that part of my life. Is this something you want? And I was like, yeah, I do. And it really did. It opened a whole lot of doors for me. And ironically, I enjoyed doing it so much that before I'd even put out my first volume for Houston, I was already reaching out to my headquarters saying, I want to open a second market. I want to open one in the Brazos Valley area. And they were like, are you sure, Kathryn? I was like, I've never been more sure of anything. And so I had actually started talking about opening Brazos Valley in the spring of 2023. And we just put out its first volume in spring of 2025. So, a 2-year long process of doing the paperwork and then creating brand awareness in the territory itself. Was very different taking over it or opening it, whereas taking over Houston as an existing market, totally different ends of the scale. So lots of learning to do there, but that's the long story of why I'm here.
I love that so much. And so you were so gracious to bring us some of these. And these are not just a magazine, like right. You're saying. These are very nice books and coffee table books. That this is the Houston one, and then this is your Brazos Valley edition. Yep. And so, these are very, very nice. And so tell us what they're filled with, just so someone can be aware of that.
Sure. So the Scout Guide is a national franchise. And so the whole purpose we serve is to be this vessel, this coffee table book of local businesses within our respective territories. And so we highlight, showcase, and support these local businesses through our annual print guidebook. So our guidebooks only come out once a year. And the reason for that is because we are so meticulously curated and crafted for each individual business. We do a creative meeting with each individual business, talk about their photo shoot. We provide a photographer and a photo shoot for the clients. We also provide the ad creation. So it's this very extended process. And that's really one of the biggest things that separates us from the rest when it comes to print advertising, is because our attention to detail is so great. And of course, we only come out once a year. And then for the people that have seen it or do get their hands on the guidebook, they recognize how high a quality our print is compared to a standard, Vogue magazine. It's something that people don't throw away. They keep it as a coffee table book. And so that's really why we stray from the term magazine and really lean into the term of a guidebook or a coffee table book.
Right. And so can you talk about the types of businesses that you have in each of your editions?
Sure. So we don't say, no to any kind of business. Honestly, the door is always open. I do have my process for vetting clients. It really starts with, are you a local business? Foot in the door right there. And then, the next thing is will the Scout Guide be a successful route for you? Will you yourself as a business owner see a return on your investment? Those are the two biggest things that I look for in my clients, of course, because I don't want, it's, a healthy investment. I don't want my clients to not see anything within the year that they're with us. Sure. And so the types of clients we have range from retail to real estate to restaurants and everything in between. This volume 1 with Brazos Valley, we had a cemetery advertise with us, and not to say, hey, come on over and bury someone here, but more so as like a historical piece, which I thought was really beautiful. I know it's crazy. But yeah, Caldwell City Cemetery is in our guidebook. We have travel agents. We have boutiques. While our target demographic is women, of course, because women make the world go round.
Yeah.
We do include a lot of men-oriented businesses. We love to have men-owned businesses in the guidebook too, because we are more on the heavy side of having women-owned businesses, which is also great because the Scout Guide itself is 100% women-owned and women-founded. So we do love that.
That's incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you said that during COVID that you had, dealt with all of that and it like brought you to this. Like, so was it just being online and seeing the opportunity that came in front of you, or how did that connection even happen?
Of the Scout Guide? Mm-hmm. I myself was in a boutique in Houston called the Monogram Shop, and they had them sitting there on the checkout counter, and of course, like a usual suspect, sees the Scout Guide. They're like, this is great. And then you find out you can take it with you. People most of the time ask me, they're like, well, how much do I owe you, or what does this cost? I'm like, it's yours, it's free. And that's really one of the biggest reasons that we have them free of cost, is to encourage people to go and visit those clients in person. All of our clients, all of our members in the Scout Guide that advertise with us get their own supply of Scout Guides to house at their place of business, their storefront, or to come up with creative methods of distribution themselves, of passing it out. That's one of our biggest methods of distribution, in addition to direct mail, of course. But having a boutique or a restaurant have it out themselves really encourages individuals to go to that place, get one, or come across it and pick it up and take it with them, and then explore other local businesses.
100%. And so what is it within you that wants to help these small local businesses so much?
I think it really began with, I'm somebody that loves, like I said at the beginning, to pay homage to those that made me, like Monarch with my grandmother, like Houston with the Scout Guide. Houston, I will never leave Houston. If I ever have to move anywhere else, I don't know where I would go, because I would never want to leave Houston, or Texas for a matter of fact. Grew up in Houston, born, raised, went to Texas A&M, moved back. I am between there, Houston, and Brazos Valley now, but there's nothing that makes me want to leave this great state. And so I think that my draw to the Scout Guide and wanting to support these local businesses is because they're what made me. And so I want to give back. I want to, and it allows me to be creative too. We were just sitting here talking about all of the crazy ideas I have for themes and volumes and thoughts, multiple volumes into the future of what I want to do and stuff. And I call it my little Taylor Swift Easter eggs on when we vote on the upcoming color of the guidebook. It's always revealed at launch, but I'll put out like little Easter eggs. Like I'll wear a green shirt when the guidebooks are delivered, and so if people are really paying attention, they'll be like, oh my gosh, maybe it's green. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know, silly things like that. But I think that that's my biggest draw to helping the businesses, is giving back to the city that made me who I am and what founded me.
I love that. I love it so much. So I have to ask you, are you noticing that the amount of viewership that you're getting from your guides is the same or mirrored to online marketing?
That's a really great question. The best way I can answer that is, it's very hard to track or measure viewership with print, of course. I have my list of target demographic that we mail it to, so I know that those 5,000 people see it. But I will give you an actual fact, not statistic, that one of our members, actually several of our members for Brazos Valley this year, have already reached out to me and re-signed, because they're like, we have gotten so many referrals off of the guidebook, people that got it in the mail or saw it, at Sabi Boutique, And then it was a dentist that actually called me on the phone, and they were like, yeah, we've had so many referrals, oh my gosh. And then I went and dropped off more guidebook boxes with them, and they were like, it's been great, we love it. And so that itself is a true testimonial to what we want. That's the guidebook itself at work. Now, when it comes to online, of course, I'm, the Instagram guru. Facebook is there. We also have our blog. And then we have our national website. And so, I'm capable of seeing all of those, ebbs and flows of viewership and what posts didn't work or what article was read more than, the previous one. But that's really not our priority. We love the digital aspect of things, but we're not a marketing firm. We recognize the power of digital, and we're there to help create viewership and brand awareness for our clients, but it's really through the guidebook that we want that viewership seen the most, not online. So I think that kind of answers your question.
Right. And so as far as the pieces that you're putting out, is it on y'all's pages on the Scout Guide, and then like you're doing it on behalf of the other businesses and they can like cross post it on their own?
Yes. So when we do our photo shoots with our clients, we often don't use all of the photos for their ad, of course. So then I have a stock of a bunch of images for our clients to repost. Maybe it's during a time of the year that's best, a season, or we'll go in and do a reel with them and create some content. I always encourage our clients to tag the Scout Guide, Brazos Valley or Houston, and make sure that I get the notification and see what they're posting about, so that I stay up to date and in the constant knowledge of what they're doing. I'm aware of it. Then it also does show up on the Scout Guide's page if you go to the tag. So, and then when it comes to articles, since the guidebook itself is not editorial based, we really save the editorial aspect for our blog posts. So our national will do some pieces that they want, that's on our blog, but then we have something called insider guides, and those are the articles that we ourselves, or I should say the Scout Guide Brazos Valley, we put out ourselves. It can be more client specific, so writing about the dentistry and how it was founded, or how long has this boutique been in business, things like that. Whereas the Scout Guide National is a little bit more all-encompassing of our territories, because we just hit 100 markets in the last month, so very excited about that.
That's awesome. So whenever you're out looking, like, are you just like walking into businesses and be like, oh, this might be a good fit, and connecting with them, or are they reaching out to you, or a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. I tend to do a lot of my scouting online, and then I'll go in person and meet the business owner or individuals who are the decision makers. But sometimes we do get people reaching out. Sometimes they'll reach out to our headquarters and say, put me in touch with Brazos Valley. Other times they'll find my email or they'll DM me. So I do love that. We get referrals all the time. And so then that's when I enter my vetting process of, are we ready to onboard this person? And I have had to turn away a couple of interested parties just because I'm like, look, this is not the type of advertising that's going to be best for your business. I'm not somebody that, wants to take your money just for the heck of it. I'm somebody that really does want this to help you in the long run, help you grow, help you create that brand awareness. And so if I don't see that itself for you, I really will say, look, I appreciate you reaching out, but this is not the avenue for you, and then maybe give them some other options to pursue potentially.
And so whenever I want to reel back the tape, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And so what was it like whenever you got to a point that you were in college and then you became an entrepreneur on your own, whenever that's what you decided to do?
I really will always give credit to the guy I was in a relationship with at that time. He himself came from a family of entrepreneurs. He was trying to be an entrepreneur, so I really got bit by that bug at that time. It wasn't something that I ever thought I had in me, especially not at, I don't know, 21 years old. And so I didn't even think that it was going to lead to what it's become today. And so, you ask when that switch happened, it's still kind of happening. It all went so fast. And, hindsight, I had no idea what I was doing. Some days I wake up, I still have no idea. And I've been very grateful for the opportunity and the path that I was put on at that time that's led me here. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. I had the dream of going to New York and being chewed up and spat back out into the world. I don't know why I wanted to. I felt like that's what I needed, but God had other plans. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the switch really happened during COVID, I would say, because I was like, look, nobody's coming to save me or us from what's happening in the world right now. It's up to me to make or break it. And so I think that's at that time when I branded myself, which I don't know if you guys have ever had to do something for yourself, whether it's writing about yourself or whatever, but you cannot do it. It does not matter. Branding yourself is unlike anything I've ever had to deal with, because I'm like, well, I could call it this, but no, but I could do that. I don't know. They might not like that color scheme. And so you're always your own worst critic. And that was ridiculous. And so, it was going to be Kathryn Hinnant graphics, or, it's like, that's so lame. Anyways, it ended up being Monarch.
And you said that was ridiculous. So what was it that got you over it?
I remember sitting poolside with my significant other and talking through all these different names with him. And I had actually just talked to someone that had worked with, his name was Brandon Coleman. He is somebody that works with brands and has for it's like 50 years. He's written a book on it. But I presented the name Monarch Atelier to him, and he was like, nobody's going to know what that means. Like, you should never name it that. Atelier, which is a French term for a creative studio or environment. That was kind of
clearly everybody knows that.
Exactly. And so he was like, you should never name it that. And I was really feeling down, and my significant other at the time was like, look, it doesn't really matter what you call it. If you deliver, like, right, who cares? You could call it, I don't know. And so I was like, you know what, you're right. I'm just going to go with what I feel is best and trust my gut. And I don't really know that I ever knew what that felt like at the time, because when you're taking tests in school, they're like, trust your gut. Is it A through D? Like, I'm like, hell, I don't know. I have no idea. I was never the test taker, obviously. And so I just was like, Monarch Atelier is what it's going to be. And it actually sold people, because it wasn't, you look at businesses like Apple, doesn't tell you what it is. Mm-hmm. Nike doesn't tell you what it is, but the brand. Right. And so, Monarch Atelier was long, so I've shortened it to kind of just Monarch now. But people know it, and it stuck. And at the beginning, people loved hearing the story part of it, the why did I name it Monarch, and what does Atelier mean? And then when they heard it, they loved it, they resonated with it. And so I was like, haha, Brandon Coleman, I was right.
Well, it kind of shows your creativeness, right? Well, and that's what they're buying into.
Yeah, and I think that it's really about just having the guts and trusting your instinct. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because I've never said that out loud in my life before.
So you said that you didn't understand, like, trust your gut, but now everything that you've kind of walked through to this point, like, are you starting to understand what that means for yourself?
I think so. And I think that it's given me a sense of confidence, more so than I probably ever had growing up, just because it allowed me to really find myself. And that was something that I told my headquarters when I was interviewing, talking about opening a second market. They were like, why, Kathryn? And I was like, because the Scout Guide helped me find myself. I have never felt so self-assured or just sure about anything when I'm doing the guidebook. Like the ideas that I come up with, and no, they're not all gems off the bat, of course. It's a process of working through it, but then once I find it, I'm like, that's it, and I'm all in on it, and I go hard. Like when you guys will come to the next launch party, whether it's Houston or Brazos Valley, y'all will be like, wow.
Right. And so you just seem like a really creative individual. And like, so was that something that you had instilled in you from when you were young, or?
I think so. My parents, if they were here, they would definitely say like, oh, you were always on Kid Pics and on, you know, the dinosaur computer with the big thing on the back of it, like making little stories. And hindsight, now it's funny to think about that, because I literally tell people stories for a living doing that. And when I was in high school, I had an internship. I worked at Paper City in Houston. And then I worked on the magazine at BC Clark. So it's like all these little things led up to what I do today, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I was always creative growing up. I definitely didn't think I was good, because I would constantly be comparing myself. I took my first photography class in high school, and I look at that work today and I'm like, oh, whoa, girl. But
you stuck with it.
I did. I really loved capturing the moment in a photograph before it was fleeting. I thought that was really awesome, and I liked that I could then go in and manipulate it how I wanted to. And Photoshop I became just great at, and I loved making really weird art that was like, I was in Galveston one time, and I took a photo of a little boy skipping a rock, and it was really cool because then I layered that photo together, and it was this motion of him doing anyway. And I don't think people really understood it in high school, and I was like, but it looks so cool. But anyway, so I really didn't, again, find myself until this point in doing photography. And I do some of the photos in the guidebook myself. I do have my photographer, Beth Simons, who I love dearly. She helps me with Brazos Valley and Houston. And then my photographer in Houston, Lauren Holub, is also excellent. So I've created a great team, but I do some of the photography work myself. Maybe it's me being selfish and wanting to be behind the camera as well as in front of it, but I mean I can't put it down. I love to do it, and I still do my freelance work too. You know, Monarch still exists. I still run content for people. I still do photo shoots, and it's just all the creative things all at once, just firing on all cylinders is I think what makes me most productive. Is what when I have a lot going on, I feel like I'm most productive. When I have some downtime and I can think about things, that's when it just falls apart.
I can understand that. So tell me real quick about graduating from college. So many kids these days, I say kids, but young adults, when they come out of college, they're looking for a job, right? They're submitting resumes, they're going to work for somebody. You don't hear a lot of them saying that they're going to just start going and working for themselves, unless it's like a family job or something, you know, that's there. Mm-hmm. So if there is a student that's about to graduate and they do have this feeling that they want to go and maybe chase a dream, like what would you encourage them to do?
I encourage you to go out and do it. I am somebody of the belief that there's no experience like real world experience, and I was grateful for having that time at my internship in college, because that real world experience put me ahead of the curve. Whereas, you know, if I had gone to the study abroad, I would have lived it up, you know, and then I would have graduated and had to find a job and realized that then. So I was already a couple years ahead of the game, realizing, this isn't really for me. So, you know, if kids, young adults are having that feeling of, I'm not sure, I feel self-righteous and I don't want to work for someone else, go, give it a shot. I always tell people there's no reason to wait either, mm-hmm. because the longer you wait, you know, oh, I need to be in a better place financially. Oh, you know, I want my hair to be purple, but when I start that, like, just start it, because you're gonna come across so many roadblocks. And all worthy things of doing are uphill.
I literally have a book titled that.
I know.
Oh.
She's like, I know.
That's so funny. I was like, weird. That's so funny.
You're going to come across those uphill battles, and the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take you to figuring out where you're supposed to be. So yeah, go for it. I mean, I'll call your parents and tell them that I give them the sign off on it if they're not about it.
Well, and let's go back to about how you said it was a whole lot different taking over Houston and launching Brazos Valley. So what were some things that you learned with the launch in comparison to the just taking over Houston from the beginning?
Brand awareness. That was probably the biggest hurdle to have to overcome.
Just educating your audience?
Yes. Okay, and so it wasn't something that I wasn't ill prepared for, or this will be a breeze. I totally knew it was coming. It was just all the different ways of, if I get asked one more time, is this for the Boy Scouts? It's never Girl Scouts, it's always Boy Scouts. Well, did you think
I thought the same thing when I saw it on the calendar. I was like, the Scouts? What?
It is so funny that people will come to me and they're like, oh, I know what this is. It's for the Boy Scouts. I'm like, nope, it's not. But thank you. They're like, well, what's it for then? And I'm like, it's scout, like a verb. I'm looking, I'm searching. So yeah, brand awareness is the biggest thing. It was really hard. And I hope that my headquarters hears this, when I take, other city guidebooks and I'm like, we're going to do this here, especially when I took them Houston, because I owned it. I wanted them to see what I was capable of. They would be like, so we're going to be in the Houston one? And I'm like, no. We're going to have a new one, and it's going to be called Brazos Valley. So I wish that my headquarters would have provided me with a fake cover that said Brazos Valley and stuff. That I could have in hand and be like, look. I think it would have helped a lot of people understand. I also think that nobody likes to be a guinea pig. And so with Houston, there was brand awareness. There were people that had, return clients, of course, but then there were also testimonials there. No, there was none of that in Brazos Valley. And so nobody could ask and say, was this a good experience? Am I going to have any kind of return? And so I'm so grateful to my Volume 1 clients. You're grandfathered in because they really took the leap of faith and put their trust in me, and not a lot of people do. I'm sure everybody's doing the math right now. I'm 27. Yeah, I graduated in 2020. But yes, I'm young. But that does not mean I'm not capable of doing and getting the job done and doing it right and well. Like I said, I'm always all in, and I want this to be the best of the best.
These are gorgeous. Yeah, and even the look and the themes, the freshness of it, right? Mm-hmm. So with younger age comes a new look and freshness and almost like a rebranding or a relaunch of something, but still keeping who you are kind of thing. And letting people see you maybe in a different light, right? Some of these are very serious, but some of these are really fun. Mm-hmm. And if your audience is, if you're a boutique and they're used to just seeing you be very serious and take care of everybody coming in, maybe they need to see you having a little bit of fun, Yeah, mm-hmm, and absolutely. Speaking of fun, the parties. Okay, so tell us, how do you get invited? How do you what's the secret?
All the things. So our events are another big part of what makes the Scout Guide different, because we do the print, we do the social, and we do the face-to-face. So it's the trifecta of marketing. When you are a member, you're getting all of these benefits. And so we do have about 4 events a year. I've had a market where it's not just for product-based businesses, it is for service-based businesses too, but members only. So if you want to participate in that market, you can sign up, do a booth, and I'm hoping to, I've only done it in Houston so far, I'm hoping to do that in Brazos Valley, in the upcoming year. We do member mingles all of them are like cocktail hours, of course. We have had kind of like TED Talky events. We did one with one of my clients in Houston, Mavology. She is a skincare line, and so with her, we actually had a skincare product making class. And so that was really fun. She got to talk about her experience, the importance of skincare. So it was a really great way for the business to like stand out among its fellow members. A lot of our members host our events, which is a great way for them to stand out. So, you know, like 7F Lodge in Brazos Valley here, they hosted our launch party. Great way for them to stand out, great way for them to showcase their business. Same with Buppy's Catering, same with Sips Mobile Bar. All of these businesses that do partake and participate in the event itself become a sponsor, and that leads to more photos, more viewership. You know, I talk about them in my speeches, and it's just another level of added benefit to them. Now, how you get invited, you have to be a member. They are member exclusive. Now the launch party, we do sell tickets to. The launch party is only once a year. So, you know, shameless plug, if you want to come to the Brazos Valley one, it'll be sometime in March of 2026. I had to do the math. But yeah, I mean, we want our members to have the biggest benefit of anything. That's why they're member exclusive events. So if you have interest, hit me up.
And how do you get one? So you can pick them up at different retailers.
Correct. So if you go online and you go to the scoutguide.com/Brazos-Valley, you can go to our directory and see all of the businesses that we have, and then you'll know where to go and pick one up.
Nice.
Also, if you fall within our target demographic, you will receive one in the mail by, it's on purpose, but I will say by accident.
Right. And so I'm just curious, like, and you were talking about all the events and like all the perks that come with it, you know, joining it, but you're also creating a network of people that they can bounce referrals to each other because they're having a lived experience of being a member of this.
That itself is also the true testament to your return on investment. I have clients in Houston, in most specific that I'm thinking of, that have taken their relationship of just having met at our events time and time again and going off and doing their own collaborative things, whether it be just an event, a shared event themselves outside of Scout Guide, like I'm not at all involved, or they actually do business together. That is really when I'm just like, chef's kiss, because I have done it again. Like I'm like a matchmaker for businesses. So yeah, I really do love seeing that. And I have clients that don't attend any events and they come back year after year. They love being in the Scout Guide. I have clients that don't attend events and they're like, well, I didn't really see a return on investment. And I'm like, that's okay. We tried it. Didn't work out, and I understand it's not a big deal. So yes, they're, full transparency. I'm not somebody that ever sugarcoats it. I'm very blunt and truthful about experiences. Yes, there are clients that have not seen their return on investment like others have. So it's very variant. There's no magic formula to, boutiques, if you follow this roadmap, you're going to get this kind of return. Like it's different year to year. And so like I say, the best way that you can see a return is the more you're in communication with me, the better I can assist you and help you and offer alternatives if something's not working.
Right. And so you were talking about, like, for the business owners out there that are watching, or just maybe the creative folks, it's like most people know about Canva. Like, we're all guilty of it. But with AI coming into play, like, this wasn't the world that you lived in like 2020 when you were just like getting out of college. Like, there's a lot more that you have at your fingertips for a creative or just as branding and things like that. So what are some of your favorites?
Well, yes. So the first time I learned about Canva, I was at my internship at BC Clark, and my overseer supervisor, she was like, "Oh yeah, I just do it in Canva." I was like, "What is that?" I use Adobe Illustrator, because I could literally do anything on Adobe with my eyes closed. But now Canva, it has grown so much since 2018. It's crazy what it can do now. It's better than Adobe Illustrator sometimes. Sorry, Adobe. But no, I use Canva all the time to mock things up. I was driving up here and I was mocking up Brazos Valley Volume 2 covers because it was just like, it's in my head. I want to see what it looks like visually, and I sent them to my photographer. I was like, what do you think? So yeah, I'm using Canva constantly. My favorite, Canva is the most reasonably priced. It has the most assets. I don't have to draw a circle. It's just there. It's all templated, which is nice. But then the caveat to that is, where's the originality behind things? So I do try and go back to the roots of sketching, which I'm not a good sketcher, actually doing things by hand and trying to manipulate it in Illustrator, which is better for manipulating, fine vectors and lines, whereas Canva, like I said, it's very much like a stamp, like a copy paste kind of thing, even though I do love it. It makes things a lot faster and quicker. And before we go into production, so part of the Scout Guide timeline process, we onboard clients, we do creative meetings, we do photo shoots, and then my deadline hits. And I have to have all materials turned into my headquarters so that we can then start doing the production of each individual ad. So prior to that deadline, I will have always mocked up every guidebook myself. And I think I'm probably one of the only editors that does this. I make the entire guidebook out by hand, on Canva. That's where I'm going with this. Prior to production starting, because I want to know what it's going to look like prior to. I want to know, are there any surprises I should be prepared for? What's my page count? Where are these ads going to lay next to each other? Some people purchase premiums. Do I want, these people next to each other? So there's a whole process with that. And thanks to Canva, it makes it very easy. I could probably do it in InDesign. I did not learn InDesign like I did Illustrator and Photoshop. So Canva, I guess, is kind of my InDesign, Adobe InDesign.
Yeah. And so, it's great for social media content too, not just your print, but it does have, it's really weird sometimes when I'm in Canva, I will be creative with things, but I'm somebody else already thought of that because that thing's already in there. Yeah. So it's really weird. It's I thought I was original.
I do like it though, you're saying, when you have multiple pages to be able to print them out and then go, oh no, this needs to be over here, this needs to be, what's that going to look like? I had to do an event, and what is it that you get that tells you the order, kind of like a play, what scenes are coming next and all that. And I was trying to figure out where to put different things, and my brother was laughing at me because he does the Photoshop and Adobe. He's a real designer, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm I'm cutting these pages and I'm taping them and then I pull them apart and then I resituate them. So
he's there's an easier way to do this.
He's why are you doing that? And I'm well, because that's the only way I know to do it. But it's a good way to start with your idea and then be able to make it look better in a more,
believe me, I sometimes go to Canva, I'll have clients be I want to brand or rebrand, can you send me some ideas and options? I'm going to Canva to look through what their logos look like, and I can be oh, that's an idea I hadn't thought of. So it's great for inspiration too. So I'm not knocking it at all. Believe me, I am on it every day.
Pinterest and Canva.
Yeah.
Weaknesses.
Pinterest. Yes. Oh my gosh. I remember when Pinterest came out and I was I don't understand this. I'm just pinning all these things. And these girls at my school were I just pinned 2,000 things in the last week. And I was okay. And now I'm still doing it 15 years later.
Well, and I just learned you can pin stuff off of Instagram.
Oh, really?
I did not know that. I thought it was the last one to know. So if you like something, there's that little thing and you just push it and then it goes to your Pinterest board.
No, Tisha's the last one.
I'm the last human to know it. You know, and that's just like, there's so much ease and like makes life streamlined, like whenever these things come up, but it does take a little bit of time, you know, just to kind of figure them out for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to ask you, like, if you could go back to, you know, 5-year-old you, what are things that you wish you could tell her, like, as far as being an entrepreneur?
I would really, I've thought about it before, because I really like who I am now. Can't wait to see what I'm like in another, 10 years. But back, I mean, when I was even in college, we're talking about 5-year-old me, but I'm talking about college me, like, I was not who I am today. And so I think if I were to talk to 5-year-old me, I would really encourage myself to be more brave and more, I mean, you can't tell a 5-year-old to be confident, because that seems impossible, but I was just always afraid. I never wanted to cross lines. I never wanted to go out of my comfort zone. I was very, very reserved and timid, and I mean, you would never believe that now. But yeah, like I said, it's really only been the last few years that I have been this kind of self-assured person. So I wish that I could go back and tell myself, like, have more confidence, and like, know your stuff is good. You hear your parents like, it is good, and you're like, well, you're biased. Yeah. And it's only really when you have that third party affirmation that you're like, wow, yeah, like, it is good. And I think that happened for me the first time after I took over Houston and I put the first guidebook out, and I would hear from others. They were like, oh, I guess others. I would hear from my parents, because they're my number one supporters. They always come to every event I have. It doesn't matter how many times I have it, they're always there. And actually, I did have my color picking party for Houston I guess it was last Thursday. My mom missed it because she's on her anniversary right now overseas, but that was the first one she missed. And like 3 years of doing this, all the events I've had, that's the first one. She was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's okay, there will be plenty more. But what I was saying is, hearing from my parents, my clients would go to them and say, you have no idea how much better the Scout Guide Houston is since Kathryn's taken it over. Like, it's great, it's night and day, blah, 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 blah. So like, all these things they're telling my parents, and then my parents can tell me. I'm like, okay, you're not biased. It's okay, I get it now. So that was very reassuring and very comforting to know that what I'm doing, people like. So like, let's just keep doing more of it.
Right. So in a year from now, if everything was perfect, what would that look like for the Scout Guide?
A lot of things would be in balance for me. Like I said, I'm always somebody that's firing on all cylinders. I'm not an extrovert. I am an introvert. Like, I'll need to go home and like nap after this. This is a lot of energy for me. But I think that from a year from now, perfect would be my clients reaching out and being like, how do I sign up for multiple years? Or having referrals, or hearing, oh my gosh, we just had this return, thank you. Having that benefit or that affirmation from my clients in their success from the Scout Guide would be what I think is perfect. This time next year, we'll be entering Volume 3 and Volume 10. Volume 3 for Brazos Valley, Volume 10 for Houston. So that's kind of crazy to think about. But it gets here faster than you realize. And then you're like, oh my gosh, 4 and 11.
Yeah. And like you were saying earlier is, like the little girl you, even college you, is not the same person as you. And I'm about 10 years older than you. And I can assure you, who you are today is not going to be who you are in 10 years from now. So you have a lot to look forward to. And it's really empowering that when I asked you what the perfect world in a year is, you already kind of have an idea of what that looks like, but you're going to mold it the way that you want it. So that's really powerful for anybody that's creative and whoever had that self-doubt and maybe not getting that validation, like you're on the right path.
Well, and there will be 100, face plants between now and then too. I will mess up, I will make somebody upset or do something wrong, and I'm also very much to the point where I don't freak out about it like I used to. Like I used to panic like nothing else. And I'm like, you know what? It is what it is, and we're gonna move on from here, upwards. And we'll grow from this. And I think that that's something that's really hard for even people at my age to recognize and have instilled in them. But I think I've had so many of those panic attacks. I'm like, it's not worth it anymore, because it does work out in the end. And I think that it'll just continue to go up from here.
Right. And change is scary. And then plus just the anxiety and panic and things like that. Like if you've never lived it or worked through it, then it is really scary. But once you've done it a few times, then it's like,
get the hang of it.
Yeah.
I'm a pro.
I'm a champ at that. I'm going to Pinterest that. But, and that's one of the questions that I asked you whenever we first started talking is like, if someone's watching this and they're like, man, I want to be a part of the Scout Guide, it's not that they can call and just get entered right away. Like it's a process. And so when can people start like reaching out to you to start doing that?
Now. Like I say, never wait for it. And I mean, like, even if right now I'm in the process of onboarding people. We've had members re-sign already. We're currently having them re-sign still. We're onboarding a lot of new people. We've got a lot of interest in Brenham. We've got a lot of interest in Hempstead, which is great. So my whole plan originally was to kind of start Bryan College Station because that's just where more is, and then branch out to places where they can see the guidebook in hand and not be confused, like, no, you're not going to be in Houston, it's Brazos Valley. And so that's really worked out well. But
when's the deadline? Like, do you have a deadline?
So it's not until later this fall.
Okay.
But yes, onboarding people now, doing photo shoots this fall. We'll go into production winter time, and then we'll launch March. So yeah, I tell people, never wait, because we have more time to plan. Because the people that do, either wait or they find out about it late, we are scrambling to get things together. It always works out, but it's not as like cozy and comfortable, and rest assured we'll get it done. It's more like we gotta go to your photo shoot like tomorrow if you want to be in this. So yeah, but don't reach out. Even if we're not onboarding people now, you can always be in the next one, kind of thing. So yeah.
Do you have a max? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Do you have a max number of people that can go in it?
Yes and no. So I don't sell exclusivity because I don't believe in competition. One, there's only one you, and so you're going to sell yourself. But also there's not one business that could cover the entire, nation, I'll say. But, I'm not going to go overboard with one like industry business in the guidebook. If I start to see it being very heavy with one, I'll probably be like, we're going to put a pause on this, and we might move you to the next volume. And then we'll have a waiting list. Sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes, I'll be able to fit everybody in. It also just depends on how many businesses I get in general. So if it's a smaller book, I probably won't have more than 2 or 3 of like industry businesses. If it's a very big book, yeah, let's add a couple more. That's okay. I just don't want it to be one guidebook specific to one industry. I want to encompass all businesses, because then otherwise I will be branded as the that book, and we're not. We're the Scout Guide.
Right. And so someone wanted to reach out to you, like, I'm sure people may be interested, like, what's kind of a budget that they should kind of keep in mind? Are we talking hundreds? Are we talking thousands?
We were talking thousands. The only difference in pricing is the size of your ad. So their two most popular size ads are a 1 or a 2-page spread. I don't go smaller. We do go up to 4 pages where it's like a fold out. That's few and far between that people do want to have that much real estate, but it is an option. But yes, we with the included creative meeting, photo shoot, ad creation, and then the supply that we give you of your own guidebooks to pass out to your target audience, it's all included in one price. Now, we do have payment plans. You can do an installment plan, and that's why I always say the sooner the better, because then you can have extended months if need be. But yes, roughly $4,000 upward.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's important for somebody. I don't want you to get inundated with calls if they're like, it's $500.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything that you are working on coming up next that you could share with anybody that they can maybe meet you or connect with you?
Right now, what I'm working on for Houston is just getting ready for launch. Studio 54, we're on volume 9. So, my weirdness, I was like, 5 + 4 is 9. Let's do Studio 54. So that's what the theme is. So planning that right now, working with my, event planner and designer and catering and drinks and all that, getting that figured out for August, because we're headed into print. This upcoming Monday will be my hard proof week for Houston, where I get to just kind of say looks good, and then we go to print. With Brazos Valley, what I'm working on right now is, of course, onboarding clients, new clients, meeting new people, seeing if they're a fit and if they want to move forward with their ad. So yes, if you have interest in time now, between now and the end of the summer, and you want to get together, I know the summer's an awkward time. Everybody's got their kids at home and is on vacation and stuff. So, don't feel pressure like it has to be tomorrow. But between now and the end of the summer, like, hit me up. We'll go get coffee and stuff. And it's never anything I want people to feel pressure about. I'm pretty easygoing. I'm, really just looking forward to meeting the next individual too. And, I never have my sights set on like, this person has to be in the guidebook. Like, I don't care. Like, if you are ready for it and it's something you're interested in, like, yeah, great, let's do it. I will always be your biggest supporter and advocate when you work with me. But other than that, Brazos Valley, just working on what next year's theme is going to be. I have a couple ideas, mulling around, but I don't know if one is just right yet. It's not a gym yet, so gotta let it. It's a diamond in the rough, that's for sure.
I love that. So if someone does want to connect with you, what's the best social handle or website to reach you?
The Scout Guide Brazos Valley. So it's actually at TSG Brazos Valley on Instagram. You can also email me at khinnant, that's HINNANT, at thescoutguide.com. Either one of those, you can DM me or email me. That's great. I won't give my phone number out, I guess.
No. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to The Real Tea. This episode is just filled with great information. But if you want to connect with us or how we can help you, you can find us at texastrioteam.com. Take care and keep living your best life.